Hi everybody, this is Justina with JustynaTHandMade. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through how to create this Dahlia zipper pouch. This video serves as visual instructions for the pattern. So if you wanna create one, you will have to grab a pattern from my Etsy store. The link to the pattern is in the description box below. But before you do that, you can watch this video and see if this is something you are interested in, or if you are comfortable with the techniques I'm using to sew this pouch together. So as you can see, this is a two-tone pouch. I've written this pattern to be able to be made out of woven cotton, because woven cotton comes with many beautiful prints, but I wanted the base to be semi-waterproof, so the base is made out of waterproof canvas, and inside this pouch is fully lined. I used also a woven cotton, but you can choose the material of your choice. I wouldn't use anything that is very stiff. So if you have the less stiff water resistant canvas, I think that's appropriate, but I would not use anything that is much stiffer than that. The full supply list for this project is listed on Etsy, so you can just visit the listing, and before you commit to the pattern, you can just review the full supply list. A pattern file, if you decide to purchase it, will include a full cut list, a full supply list again, so you don't have to go back to the Etsy website, but also it will include a full cut list for the project with notes and a printable pattern pieces that you would need to complete the project. As you can see, this project doesn't require much hardware. All you need is just a piece of zipper tape and a zipper pull. This pattern is written for a number 5 zipper. I think it helps with retaining the shape of the pouch, so this is what I would recommend. And again, it's written for a zipper tape number 5 that it's 1 1/4 in width. If you have any questions regarding this pattern or any techniques I'm using in this video, please feel free to leave a comment under this video, or you can contact me on Facebook or on Instagram or directly on Etsy. If you have any suggestions for more videos, I always welcome your input, so please leave a comment. And if you are not yet a subscriber to my channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you're not gonna miss out on any upcoming video tutorials. And now, if you would like to see how this cute pouch comes together, please keep watching. To start our project, we're gonna prep all our pattern pieces and our supplies. To do that, please refer to the full cut list included in the pattern file. I'm just gonna run it through and explain to you how to prep them. Also, in the cut list and supply list, you're gonna have all the supplies needed as well. First, we're gonna prep our outer panels. So you're gonna have them cut out of your upper fabric. Then you're gonna interface them with the sew fuse or SF101 at the full size, and if you like them to be more sturdy, you can add fusible fleece or sew fuse plus or Decovil light at a size that it's smaller than your seam allowances. So that's how I have my both outer panels prepped. Then I have 2 outer bottom panels cut out of waterproof canvas, and this is what I suggest for the pattern. If you are using woven cotton for both the upper and the lower panels, I would interface both of them in the same fashion, so you just want to make sure they're gonna have a little bit stiffness to them. But since I'm using waterproof canvas, I'm not gonna interface the bottom outer panels. Also, I have my lining cut out of woven cotton, and they are not interface. So I have my upper panels and my lower panels. I have my zipper cut to length by the cut list. It's a little longer to help us with the installation of the zipper pull. So I have my zipper pull, and I have 2 pieces of ribbon that I'm going to be using for my zipper tabs. This is a ribbon that is 5/8 of an inch in width, and that's what I recommend. If you have something that is a little smaller or larger, it should be totally fine. Just cut them to size per the cut list. And I'm going to be using the Cottonman Mera 70 thread. So now to start our project, we're gonna start with attaching our zipper tape to one of our upper outer panels. So you're gonna take one of the outer upper panels that are already interfaced and start with the zipper. So you want to find the midpoint of your panel and midpoint of your zipper and clip that together first. Now you'll know where the zipper tape will meet with the rounded portion of your panel. So that's where you want to snip the tape. I'm gonna make snips that are about 1/8 of an inch in depth. I would not go any deeper than that. I'm gonna repeat that on the other side as well. And continue clipping the zipper tape along the curved edge of your panel. When you have your zipper clipped all along the curved edge of your panel, take it to the machine and base stitch it along the zipper edge with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 3.5 stitch length. Now that the zipper is based to our panel, we're gonna attach our lining. So take one of the upper lining panels and also start from the midpoint. Making sure that both fabrics are right sides together. Start clipping the panels around the zipper tape. When you have your unit prepped like this, you're gonna take it back to the machine and you're gonna sew along this edge with the 1/4 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length. Now that you have the lining sewed in, we're gonna make a little notches around our curved edges. Now you're gonna turn the unit right side out. Make sure that you have nice pulled seam. You can finger press it or you can take it to the ironing board and iron it. And then you're gonna take it back to the machine and you're gonna top stitch along the seam with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 3.5 stitch length. Now that our first panel is top stitched, it's basically completed, we're gonna move on to attaching our second outer panel to our zipper tape. So you're gonna place your panel on the table, and here you want to start with aligning the outer panels together. So you want to make sure that the outer panels are in the same place. And then continue clipping your tape all around the project. You can snip the zipper tape around the corners. And now that you have your zipper attached to the second outer panel, you're gonna take it to the machine and you're gonna baste the zipper tape onto your second outer panel with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 3.5 stitch length. Now that your zipper tape is basted to the other panel, you can separate them both and just keep the panel you're working on. Take the second upper lining panel and place it right sides together with the outer panel. And when you have both panels clipped together along the zipper tape, you're gonna take the unit back to the machine and you're gonna sew along this edge with the 1/4 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length. After your lining is sewn in, you're gonna again make a little snips around the rounded corners. Turn the project right side out. Make sure that the seam is pushed out. Again, you can just finger press it, or you can take it to the ironing board and iron the seam. And after your project is prepped for top stitching, you're gonna take it to the machine and top stitch along this edge with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 3.5 stitch length. Now that your second panel is finished, you're gonna take both of them again, and then you can see which panel you like most. Maybe it's the way the print is looking, or maybe top stitching on one of your panels is better. So just see which panel you think looks better and make that the front panel before you insert your zipper pull. I like my zipper pull to close from the right to the left, so I'm gonna enter my zipper pull on this side. So now you're gonna place the panels right sides together. Make sure that they match. Compare the zippers and insert your zipper pull on. Make sure that the panels meet in the same place. Pull the zipper all the way through on the other side and reinsert it again. Bring the pull to the middle of your project, and now you can trim your extra zipper tape. And when we have that done, we're gonna move on to prepping our bottom part of our project. So you're gonna take both of your outer panels and you're gonna place them right sides together and clip along the side edges. When you have that prepped, you're gonna take it to the machine and you're gonna sew only those short side edges at a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length, and backstitch well on the beginning and on the end of the seam. After we have our base sewn along the side edges, we're gonna prep our upper portion of our pouch. So you want to take your zipper tabs, fold them in half, and attach each of them on each end of the zipper. Take this to the machine and baste each tab on each end of the zipper tape. Now that the zipper tabs are based, we're gonna attach our bottom panel to our outer panel. So keep your bottom outer panel wrong side out, slip it over the upper panel, and you want to make sure that they are both right sides together and that the bottom edge is facing up. So slip it on. You can butterfly the seam, make sure that the seam aligns with the middle point of the teeth of the zipper, and start clipping. When you have your project prepped like this, and you want to make sure you are catching all the layers, so it's gonna be the outer fabric and the lining fabric of the upper portion of our pouch. When you have this prepped like this, you're gonna take it to the machine and baste the upper panel onto the bottom panel of your pouch. Now that we have the bottom panel based to our upper unit, we're gonna take our lining panels, place them right sides together, and again we're gonna clip them along the short side edges. Take it to the machine and sew the sides with the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length, back stitch well on the beginning and on the end of the stitch. Now that our bottom lining panels are sewn together, we're gonna take our project and we're gonna turn it wrong side out. So you want the lining side to be outside. And now you're gonna slip the lining over your project, making sure that they are both right sides together, and start clipping. And when you have that done, you're gonna take it back to the machine and you're gonna sew all around with the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length. You can sew it from the inside of your pouch This way you're gonna have a better control of how the outer fabric looks like, because the outer fabric obviously it's gonna be more exposed when you're using the pouch, so you just want to make sure that you won't have any puckering on the outer fabric. And because the lining is less stiff, it should nicely align with the outside fabric seam. Now that you have that prepped, take it to the machine and sew all around with the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length, sewing, having the outer fabric visible on your machine. Now that the lining is sewn in, we're gonna turn the project right side out, pull both the lining and the outer bottom panels down. Now we want to prep our pouch for top stitching along the bottom panels, so make sure that the seams are nicely pulled out. You can clip the lining and the outer panels together along the bottom. You can also take the pouch to the ironing board and iron the outer panel so it stays nice and flat. Just make sure you're pulling the lining out so it's nicely aligned with the bottom. And when you have your project pressed, take it to the machine and top stitch all around with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 3.5 stitch length. Now that our bottom panel is top stitch, I also added my handmade tag. We're gonna be finishing up our base and our lining, so you want to flip the project wrong side out, squish the top panel and clip the bottom edge of our base panel together. And then repeat that with the lining. On the lining, you want to mark an opening that's going to remain unsewn and serve as our turning hole. So make sure you have about 2 inches from each side. And now that you have both sides prepped like this, you're gonna take it to the machine and you're gonna sew along the bottom edge of the outer panels with the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length all the way through. On the lining, you're gonna sew only those short seams between the beginning of the bottom edge up to the pin. Then you leave this unsewn, start at the pin and going back to the side. And here you can slightly enlarge the seam allowance in the lining. You're gonna make it slightly bigger than 3/8 of an inch. And you're also gonna be sewing with the 2.5 stitch length. Just make sure you're gonna backstitch well where the turning opening is. Now that you have the bottom seams completed, we're gonna box our corners. So you're gonna box the corners in the outer panel. And the lining. When you have all your corners clipped to be boxed, you're gonna take it back to the machine. And now if you want a wider pouch, you can increase the seam allowance to 1/2 inch, or if you want a skinnier one, just create a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, depending on your preferences. And to make it easy, also you can use a zipper foot to sew all those box corners together. So take it to the machine, choose a seam allowance between 1/2 inch to 1/4, depending on how wide you want the pouch to be, and make sure when you're sewing you're gonna backstitch well on the beginning and on the end of the seam. Now that you have your corners boxed, and if you choose a larger seam allowance, you can trim it. Now you're gonna use the opening in the lining to turn the project right side out. Make sure everything looks good, and if you're happy with how everything is looking, you can finish your lining. So you're just gonna pull it out, make sure that the raw edges fold inside, and clip. And now that you have the lining clipped together, you can take it back to the machine and top stitch along the opening with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length. If you feel comfortable, you can decrease the seam allowance to 1/16 of an inch. Now the lining is closed, so I'm just gonna put it back inside of my pouch. Make sure everything is nice and snug. Zip my pouch up, and my project is completed. The project is now completed. I gave the pouch a nice press, and it looks nice and crisp. It has plenty of space inside with this large opening, so you can access your items easily. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and that you like the way this pouch comes together. If you do, please make sure to give the project a go and to share your experience and your beautiful makes with me on the social media. The Facebook group and my Instagram links are in the description below. If you like to purchase this pattern, follow the link in the description. The pattern is available in my Etsy store, and if you are a group member, please make sure to check the post in the group for available discounts. Till the next time.